So, Doctor Who Flux, Series 13. I'm kind of just doing this review so I can get it over with because it's been dwelling in my mind. I keep running it through my head even when I don't mean to. So I want to go ahead and get it out of the way. Flux is an interesting one. I don't hate it, even though I hate some of the stuff going on in it. I don't like it a lot, even though I like some of the stuff going on in it. It's just kind of, it feels like a series that was supposed to be longer. Now, when Series 13 was first announced, I knew it was going to be a reduced episode count from the previous seasons, which were already reduced episode counts, because of all the coof stuff going on. But 8 episodes is what I kept hearing. 8 episodes, 8 episodes, 8 episodes, 8 episodes. And then the specials got announced, and suddenly Series 13's count went down to 6. And it feels like there is a lot that got chopped off here. Like this was originally supposed to be 8 to 10 episodes. And a lot of it, when they found out they were only going to have 6, a lot of it that should have been cut wasn't cut. You have characters that feel like they don't have any reason to be there, like Vendor and Bell and the Grand Serpent, like Vendor and Bell. Do you care about Vendor and Bell? I don't. Oh, they're in love and they're gonna have a baby and I don't care. I don't care. I never care about Bell and Vendor. I don't understand why they're here. Maybe they played a bigger part originally, but they feel like they serve no purpose whatsoever than to give me parts of the episode to forget about. I don't even know if I remembered to mention them in my episode 6 review, which was like 38 minutes long just because they're so uninteresting. And they're having a baby, and who cares? I mean, thank goodness they didn't go with that fan theory that it's the doctor, that they're having the doctor as their kid. That's just a stupid theory. Fans can come up with some dumb theories. That was a really stupid idea. It wasn't a Classic Who fan that came up with that idea, I assure you. It was a really, really dumb idea. I'm glad Chibs didn't at least go down that path. The Grand Serpent is interesting in episode 3 because it shows why Vendor's in the situation he's in. Excuse me. So I like him being in episode 3 just to kind of give us some of Vendor's backstory. But after that, I don't understand why he shows back up in episode 5 doing all this mess with Unit, which is still pretty neat. I like seeing some of Unit's past and hearing the Brigadier and seeing Kate back. I like that, but it's never fully explained why he's there. It's never, ever, I don't get why he's there. That's never explained. Like in episode 5, I figured it would give us a reason why he would be there, why he's working with the Sultans. I figured there'd be some kind of explanation. We never get that. We never get his plans. We never get why he's not ruling his people anymore. I guess they got destroyed by the Flux, but some of them escaped or he was deposed. We never get anything for why he went from where he was when Vendor was his guard to where he is now, to what he's doing, to why he's working with the Sultans. Nothing. Never explains any of that. Maybe the specials will touch on it. Not holding out hope for that, but maybe. Kate's back. But it seems like Kate's back just so the show can go, hey, look, y'all, Kate's back. She doesn't really do much. It's like it gives us an explanation for why Unit's gone, why Kate has gone dark. Although I still don't understand why she didn't just call the doctor. I mean, she's already threatened that she could call, the Grand Serpent, I can call someone you really don't want to talk with. Why doesn't she call the doctor? When her house gets blown up, why didn't her phone call to the doctor? Because, plot is, I guess, why. Plot. The plot needs it not to be like that, so. And even throughout this episode, episodes 5 and 6, I don't feel like Kate has much to do. It's kind of like, again, the whole thing with Unit and Kate feels like it was supposed to have been bigger, especially if there'd been a bigger episode count. But since they only had 6 episodes, that whole plot with her mostly got trimmed away to just her being there instead of just cutting her out completely. And I'm kind of glad she's there. It's nice to know what happened with Unit. That is nice. She doesn't really do much, although I enjoy seeing her interact with 13 the little bit she does. Swarm and Azure are wasted. They are very wasted because they are built up to be these big bads, you know, and Swarm is built up as having this long, intimate relationship with the Doctor. Like, they go way back. You don't remember us dancing across time and space together every battle. You don't remember any of it, but I remember all of it. You know, it's built up as this big thing, like, this may be an even greater enemy to her than the Master. And then that never really goes anywhere. We get that one flashback from the Fugitive Doctor's time in Once Upon Time, where they capture Swarm and Azure like that. Like, it doesn't seem like it's that trick, you know, the Chewbacca just shoots him in the stun thing and it's over. Whereas, even at the end, in episode 6, when Swarm kind of taunts her, he doesn't really talk about the past much. He just talks about whether or not he wants to kill her, and then he doesn't, and then... And then at the end, they just ascend. Oh, they're dead. I mean, they feel so wasted overall. It feels like the first 3 episodes really build them up to do something. And then... And again, it feels like the episode count should have been more. Like, it should have been 8 episodes or 10 episodes. And things just got trimmed up. This is where I think... You know, something like this kind of happened in Classic Who with Season 23. Season 23 was originally supposed to be like Season 21, Season 22. You know, 6 or 7 stories. They had the scripts written out or outlines written out. They had them planned. They knew what they were going to do. They were going to bring back the Celestial Toy Maker. The Ice Warriors were supposed to come back. Then suddenly they get an atom bomb dropped on them. And they're told, no, actually the season's only going to be 14 episodes in... You know, half-hour episodes are going back to the old format, but you're only going to have 14 episodes. So effectively, Season 23 was going to be half as long as Season 22. And did they sit there and try to cram all the Season 22 stuff in? No. They completely started from scratch and rewrote new stories. Now, I'm not saying the idea they came up from Season 4, Season 23, the whole Trial of a Time Lord thing, was genius, because it wasn't. But at least they realized, okay, we can't take what we were going to do here, which would have been this, and cram it into this. It won't work. So let's just start over and redo it. And that's maybe what they needed to do with Flux, because it's really weird with Flux, because you don't know how much of Flux was planned pre-Coof and post-Coof. Coof is what I call the pandemic stuff, by the way. Something I picked up from Azure from Heels versus Babyface. I really like his stuff. You know, I don't know how much of that was standalone and how much of it was part of Flux, and then how... You know, if Flux was originally supposed to be 8 or 10 episodes and then got cut down to 6 because they wanted to save some of that for the specials. Yeah, it's hard to really know, but Flux just inherently, to me, feels like it was supposed to have been longer. It feels like they had this much that they were supposed to do just to find out the episode count got cut down to like this much. And instead of chopping out unnecessary stuff or even characters to streamline it, they just crammed it all in. Was it Diane? Is that, Dan's almost girlfriend? The one that Azure and Swarm seem to go out of their way to get, and oh, we're going to have so much fun with you, and no payoff to that. Why do they go out of their way to get her? I don't get. When they don't use her for anything, they leave her in passenger by herself. I mean, it can't be to get the Doctor, because the Doctor doesn't even know her. The Doctor just met Dan. They don't even know Dan, so I don't know why they would do that. It makes no sense. Also, I want to know how she can know all the inner workings of Passenger as well as she does in, like, episode 6. That doesn't make a lot of sense either, when she's just a normal human, isn't she? Unless she's like the Master in disguise or some nonsense. But if they do the Master masquerading as someone else with a fob watch-like deal, I'm really sick and tired of, no, I was actually the Master all along, ha ha ha. It's great, but it's been done already too many times, I'm over that. Yeah, I don't quite get how that's not really a paid off with Diane. I don't understand why they would go after her when they have no reason to. Again, it just seems like plot needs to happen, so here's plot. Convenient plot is convenient. War of the Sultans seems like it was originally probably a standalone episode, like it could have been, like they knew they wanted to bring the Sultarans back. I want to say Sultarans with an L sometimes, I don't know why. Sultarans back. And I love their design. I love their very classic Who design. And I actually like episode 2 a lot. I enjoyed it when I reviewed it. I thought it did a lot of really neat things. And it's nice that it leads into them coming back in episode 6, as they play a big part in episode 6, which I think is really well done from their aspect of it. The Angels episode seems like it was originally supposed to be a standalone episode. Was it Maxine? Is that her name? The person who wrote it, who also wrote The Haunting of Villa Didio or whatever. Because I like The Haunting episode too. She seems like she writes these kind of creepy atmospheric story episodes really well. And that aspect of Village of the Angels is really good. The only problem with Village of the Angels is it falls apart when you have to tie all the Flux stuff into it. And with the Doctor being captured because the Angels are a big Uber service, we find out later. But most of that episode I like. I like the way it's shot at night. I love the cinematography. The director does a good job. I like the angels in it. I love that it introduces Jericho, and I really like Jericho as a character. He's probably the most interesting character in the freaking thing. More interesting than Yazdan and the Doctor, quite frankly. And I think Kevin McNally does a really good job playing him. I love that camera scene when he gets sent back in time and he's going around the angel and the dust just gets in his eyes. That camera shot is really, really well done. It's a good episode up to a point. I don't like the Doctor being turned into a statue because that's just incredibly stupid. Plus the effect where she turns into the statue looks really cheap. It doesn't look like stone. It looks like bad CGI. The actual camera technique with the camera shooting around her as she changes is really well done. It's the actual effect that looks bad. The effect looks terrible. It makes Invasion of the Dinosaurs special effects look good by comparison. It makes Power of Krolls effects look good by comparison. Or at the very least better by comparison. It just looks terrible. And it's just a dumb idea. So when they're transporting you, you turn into a statue. How is she going to get out of this one? She gets out of it immediately at the start of the next episode. This episode has a lot of cliffhangers that... And don't get me wrong, Classic Who did this sometimes too. It had a lot of cliffhangers that are just immediately resolved immediately after. Like right after that, she turns back into the Doctor and you find out the Angels are just an Uber lift service to take her to the Division to meet Tecteun. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Wasn't she just there? Because in Once Upon a Time, when she's been in her own time stream and she's coming back out, she's there. She ends up meeting Tecteun in that base, in the Division headquarters. They talk, and then Tecteun shoos her away, sends her off like shoo, and then turns around and continues working on her plan to capture her by the Angels and bring her there. Okay, so Tecteun's like, Doctor, I need you to go away. I'm working on a plan to capture you and bring you here. Wait a minute. So basically the whole point of episode 4 is nothing. It's pointless. Episode 4 could have been cut completely. Because she ends up there at the end of episode 3. And Tecteun shoos her away. Well, she's still in her time. No, she's not still in her time stream. Because this is right before she gets back out of the TARDIS. Back to the TARDIS. I think she's out of her time stream. Because I don't think she's ever been in that base. And she's not in a flashback. She's there with Tecteun in the present. So I don't think she's still in her time stream. No reason to shoo her away. It's like Tecteun is just like, you're here. Do you not know I had this whole plan put in place to get you? You are not making me having wasted my time to get this plan into work. Go away. Now I get my plan into action. It's so stupid. It's one of those things, again, plot convenience. It has to happen because the story needs it to happen. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's like, you could have just cut out episode 4, but Chris Chibnall's like, no, everybody likes the Angels. We gotta have the Angels episode. One, we've already paid for this script because we were going to use it as a standalone story originally, probably. And plus, everybody loves the Angels. That'll get people to watch. That'll get people to tune in. It's an Angels episode. Did you like Blink? Do you remember Blink? Wasn't Blink great? Look, here's another episode kind of like Blink. But I'm going to give it my little touches to make it even better. It's one of those episodes that are like, hey, they're bringing the Weeping Angels back. And it's by the same one who want Haunting of Villa Dota. And I'm kind of like, yeah. And Chris Chibnall's like, plus I gave it a looking over and added some changes of my own. And I'm like, oh. And that's how it feels. It's so pointless. If she's there at the end of episode 3, why shoo her away just to have an elaborate trap to bring her right back? You could... you have an entire mini-series, because that's what it is. You have an entire mini-series that feels crammed in because you don't have the episode count you originally thought you were going to have. You have 6 episodes to do 8 to 10 episodes worth of work, and yet you still manage to have an episode that feels like it's completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. There's no reason whatsoever to have that episode in there other than it's got the weeping angels in it and everybody loves those. People are going to like this one. And sure enough, if you look at episode 5's viewing figures, Survivor of the Flux, the numbers did go up in the UK. And I think that's because of episode 4. I think a lot of times an episode's viewing figures are affected by the episode right above it. If the episode right before it was good, then its viewing figures might have went up. Because, hey, last week's was good, I should watch this week's. Whereas, say the episode before it was bad, people might not watch it because they're like, ugh, that last episode sucked, I'm not going to watch the next one. So I definitely think an episode's viewing figures influence the next episode. Same thing with movies and sequels. I think I think one of the reasons the 2012 Judge Dredd didn't do too well is everybody still remember the 90s Judge Dredd movie. And the 2012 one's way better. So I do think having the angels in episode 4 boosted it. And I do think a large part of episode 4 works. And I love the fact it gave us Jericho. But other than giving us Jericho, it's kind of pointless. Also, the little girl, Peggy, the one that we find out was also the old woman in the 60s, which is easy to figure out. I had that figured out beforehand, that the little girl and the other woman were the same person. Also, that plot goes nowhere. I know, because I was you. I'm you, Peggy, an older version of you. And then we never hear anything about that again. Because that happens right before the trap gets sprung on the doctor. That is pointless. That little twist goes nowhere and is pointless. Who cares? Go back and look at it. What does that serve? What function does that serve, having her be an older version of Peggy? Again, this seems like something that was supposed to have been elaborated on when they thought they were going to have 8 to 10 episodes. And then when they found out they had 6, it just got dropped. But they didn't actually cut the whole idea of it out like they probably should have, because it seems pointless. It's a plot line that just stops. Also, what happened to Peggy? Like, she got sent back to 1901 with Yaz and Dan and Jericho. Where is she? Who's raising her? Where's she at? Is she still in the village? We know the village came back, but I don't think anybody's in the village according to Unit, so I don't understand how it doesn't even address where she is. No, she's never mentioned. Nothing. Just, What happened to that little girl from the previous episode? We don't have time to deal with that plot stuff, you know? It seems sloppy. There are things I liked about this series, but the whole series just seems sloppy. It seems like at least 8 episodes of stuff got crammed into 6 episodes, and stuff that should have been trimmed away when they found that out weren't. Everything was just stuffed in, like stuffing clothes into a suitcase, to where it feels like it's about to burst. It doesn't make sense. It's not a bad viewing experience. It's just at the end of the day, it's an uninteresting one. Chris Chibnall doubles down on the Timeless Children stuff. I don't think that's a surprise to much people. That's kind of his baby. I think he wants to make sure that we can't headcanon it away no matter how hard we try. Like a lot of us, of course, in the back of our minds, we're like, well, it's the Master that showed it to her. This is the Master we're talking about. He could be lying. He could have an ulterior motive. No. They go so far as to her to say, was the Master telling the truth? Was the Master lying? No, he was telling the truth. I want to know how many people, like old school Doctor Who fans, were watching that the first time it aired and were just like, because even I was like, and then of course, I'm actually Tech Dayun. Also, if she's running this whole division base, where's everybody else? It mentions the division has operatives everywhere. Weeping Angels, probably Daleks, humans. The division's everywhere. We have all sorts of people. How come there's nobody else in this all-important base? Nobody. She's there by herself. Don't you need a couple security guards? I guess they figure it's so well isolated and hidden, no one would ever find it. But wouldn't you have some kind of defense system in place? Nope, Swarm and Azure just, They show up, kill Tech Dayun, which she does nothing to defend herself. You're not supposed to be here. I'll just dust you real quick. And then he goes to dust the doctor. That was a big cliffhanger. How did she get out of that one? She just ducked to the left a little. Ducked to the left. And then Swarm's like, I'm not going to kill you. I'll save you for a sacrifice. It's so inconsistent. It doesn't make any sense how characters just change their minds on stuff like, yeesh, Swarm should have been blonde. It's very inconsistent. You should have had some defense systems in place right there at that little universe base. And I mean, I get that Doctor Who is trying to show there's a multiverse. It's not really a big deal. Doctor Who established in like 1970 that there was a multiverse because in Inferno they go to a parallel Earth, or the Doctor goes to a parallel Earth in Inferno. So it's not exactly a new idea for Doctor Who to be a multiverse. Also, the 10th Doctor goes to a parallel universe in the Cybermen two-parter in Series 2. The Age of Steel two-parter, so it's not exactly a new idea. For all the people who were like, Doctor Who introduced a multiverse. No, it didn't. Not in this episode. Multiverse has been around in Doctor Who for over 50 years. Yeah, it's sloppy. I mean, I didn't hate it. I hated a lot of the things in it. A lot of the things in it don't make sense. The Doctor in it... Okay, Whittaker's acting. Let me say her acting is much improved here. I think this is her best acting as the Doctor. I enjoy her. Even in scenes when she's doing things that I don't like, or scenes I just don't like with the Doctor and Barbara Flynn as Tecteun. Anytime they talk in like episode 5, I think both actors are doing a great job. I don't like the scenes because I don't like the Timeless Children stuff, but the actors are doing fine. Whittaker, I really liked her in episode 6 when she split. I love anytime her doctors are interacting together. That's really, really neat. And I think she does a good job when she's playing that manifestation of time. So Whittaker's acting, I'm fine with. The 13th Doctor, on the other hand, I still have problems with. As I mentioned in my episode 6 review, she seems to be very emotionally stunted. She has a lot of trouble expressing her emotions properly. She doesn't have a very good emotional maturity, which explains why she has so much trouble communicating with Yaz, for example. Why she doesn't show remorse for the death of all the Daleks and the Sultans and the Cybermen that died at the end of Flux. Part of which is her fault. I mean, you could definitely make a strong argument that she contributed to a triple genocide. I think there is an argument to be made for that. And the 13th Doctor to me constantly feels like she's on the back foot. I've mentioned this before in review. She constantly feels on the back foot to me, like she's playing catch up. You know, most of the Doctors are usually in pretty good control of a situation, or they're trying to grab control of the situation. Now, you look at Patrick Troughton. Even if he's not in control of the situation, he's still to a degree in control of the situation. And he's trying to find out every advantage he can. He's kind of playing the silly buffoon, but it's only because he's looking at everything going on. You can tell he's taking in everything going on around him. He's very Columbo-like in that regard. People underestimate him because of his mannerisms. The 3rd Doctor, always in control of the situation. 4th Doctor, always in control of the situation. 7th Doctor, always in control of the situation. Even Tennant, when Tennant is in, he could have 1,000 guns pointed on him, and he immediately feels like he's in control of the room. Look at Matt Smith in A Good Man Goes to War when he pulls that monk down. That's right, it's me. Point a gun at me if it makes you feel better. Even with all of those people at him, he's still completely confident and in control of the situation. Amelia Pond, get your coat! Capaldi always seems to be in control of the situation, unless it's dealing with Clara. Then Clara's in control of the situation. But the 13th Doctor doesn't feel in control of the situation a lot of times. She feels like she's never a step ahead, or even keeping up. She's the only Doctor that feels like she's like 7,852 steps behind at any given time. And I don't like that she's constantly having to play catch-up, constantly having to play catch-up, constantly having to play catch-up. And I don't think it's not her gender. Let me make this clear. It's not her gender. Because I like Jo Martin's Doctor a lot. Jo Martin's Doctor seems very in control of the situation every time we see her. When she's capturing Swarm and Azure in that flashback in Once Upon a Time, whether it's Jo Martin standing there or it's Jodie Whittaker and they're kind of flashing back and forth. And Jodie Whittaker plays that fugitive Doctor bit really well, I'll give her that. She feels in control of the situation. Jo Martin, when she is, what episode is that? Fugitive of the Jadoon, when she's talking with the other Time Lord lady, and she's telling her not to shoot the gun. She seems very in control of that situation when they're trying to capture her in Fugitive of the Jadoon, and she's holding the gun. She's very in control of that situation. Exactly like the Doctor should be. Now, I don't think it's the way the 13th Doctor is written. It's not her gender. Because the way she's written, with her fidgety, emotional immaturity, always on the back foot self, no one could say that. You could have Ian McKellen playing that version, playing the 13th Doctor. You could have Patrick Stewart playing the 13th Doctor. You could have David Tennant playing the 13th Doctor. You could have Tom Baker playing the 13th Doctor, and they wouldn't be able to save her, to save that version of the Doctor. None of these actors could. It's just the way she's written, to where she's just always behind, always behind. She doesn't quite live up to that mantle of being the Doctor in most cases. Now, that being said, I think she actually did a pretty good job in episode 6. When she is in all these different areas, she seems more in control of the situation. A perfect example is that conversation she has with the Grand Serpent. As other people have pointed out, it's a really good scene. Now, that whole time when she's being interrogated, she feels in control of that whole scene. I will give Jodie Whittaker that. I will give the 13th Doctor that. She feels like she's controlling the momentum of that, even though she's the one chained up and he's the one interrogating her. And he's, again, the Grand Serpent. Despite him not having a good reason to be there, I like the character, and I think the actor playing the Grand Serpent does a really good job with him. She still feels in control of that situation. A lot of times with her actually making plans, like Clara and Jericho going on the ship, which I don't know why Jericho's there, but still she's making plans, she's doing things. She actually does feel like she's caught up to events. She's not on the back foot in this episode. She seems caught up on the events. She has a plan. And it is nice to see this Doctor up, or even maybe a step or two ahead of events going on around her, with a plan, with something that's risky but might work. And so I did enjoy seeing her in control for a change. And yes, I still don't like Jericho's death. It seems meaningless. I complain more about that in my episode 6 review. I'm not going to go into that here, but I really like Jericho as a character, and I hate that they killed him off for no reason. Also, I'm not too upset about all the Dallas getting killed, since we know they're going to be back in the Christmas special anyway. Speaking of which, the trailer for the Christmas special looks good, so very excited about it. I'm a big Groundhog Day fan, so looking forward to that. So that's kind of my short version of what I think on Flux. I really don't want to sit here and do another 40-minute video, but also, I didn't even really want to do this video. I'm just to the point with the channel now where every now and then I feel like I need to do a video more than I want to do a video, and I felt like I needed to do this video. I think there were some of y'all that probably wanted to see me review the whole series. So in short, I don't hate it. I don't really like it. There are parts of it I like, there are parts of it I hate. I think it's just a bit of a mess and has a lot of plot points that go nowhere, a lot of characters that are pointless, that probably were originally intended to be more fleshed out and serve more of a purpose and have more of a focus. But just because having only 6 episodes, I think a lot of stuff got cut out, while at the same time not enough stuff getting cut out, if that makes sense. Some of the characters like Vendor and Bell and Grand Serpent probably should have just been dropped completely instead of trying to be crammed in the way they were. But yeah, that pretty much covers my thoughts on Flux, I think, for the most part. So what did you think of Flux? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? I would like to know what you think. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do, there is a link to that down in the description below, so please check that out. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching. So, Doctor Who Flux, the series, or Series 13. My chair just did something weird. What was that? What was that? Alright. Even the chair doesn't want to talk about Flux.